Hi friends, it's Becky, and I'm going to be making some earrings and a necklace today using the Spun Sugar Serenade treasure box from Potomac Beads. This week I decided all the earrings that I make for my challenge for April, where I make a pair of earrings every day, are going to involve flowers. And there were these gorgeous little lucite, like buttony beads that came in that Spun Sugar Serenade box. And so I'm going to make earrings with these guys. I just picked out 3 different colors for each earring, and I'm going to set these aside before I get started. Just so you know, I'm pulling them out. We're going to make some earrings with those. I'm also going to be using 2 of these glass leaf beads that have that center drilled hole right in the middle. I'm going to be using these for the earrings, which we'll get to in a little bit. I am also going to be using the rest of these leaf beads in a necklace design. And in addition to those leaf beads, I'm going to be pulling out these long green check bicones that we've got here. So let's just get all of these out of the organizer. And then I'm also going to be using the green Potomac Beads bicones. They are the 4mm bicones. So I'm going to be using these. It's going to be a very, very leafy green kind of a necklace. Go great with the floral earrings that we've got going on. I'm very much in a flowery mood this week. Everything is flowers, y'all. Everything is flowers. So I'm going to be using these green beads for the necklace, and I'm also going to be using some 2-hole beads, and I'm going to be using both kinds of 2-hole beads that came in this bead box. Let me get those out as well. Sorry, it's taking so long getting these out. So we'll get all of these. But yeah, while I'm getting these out, I'm using these bibo beads and the round duos. So let me tell you a little bit about the Potomac Beads treasure box. Potomac Beads has 2 different subscription boxes. One of them is this. It's the treasure box where you get a bunch of beads, just a bunch of beads, and it is up to you and your creative freedom what you're going to make with them. It's a really great challenge. You know, when you're ready to start doing your own beading designs, to start spreading your wings, to get ready to do that, rather than following instructions and doing a kit. Now, the kit subscription is their other subscription, and I subscribe to the kit edition as well. The reason you don't see that on my video channel is that they're not my designs, they're other people's designs, but it's so nice to be able to have a kit that has all the beads in it, that has printed instructions in their booklets. It has, and they're very well done instructions usually. I actually learned a lot of my seed bead weaving from following the instructions on Potomac Beads kits, because I signed up there in order to learn how to do bead weaving. So I love their kits. They're one of my favorite things to do. So yeah, I subscribe to the kits, but then I do the videos with these because it's a way for me to like help inspire y'all. If you're getting this box, here's some ideas of things that you can do with this, because sometimes, you know, you need to go check out, see what other people are making, and then get inspired to make your own thing. Either make your own flair, or even just copy it exactly the same thing. It's totally fine to copy exactly the same thing. I don't sell my things, so, you know, make them, do what you will with them. I think that would be great. All right, so I've got these beads all out, and we're going to be doing a beading design using these leaf beads And I just wanted to show you how I got the jump ring on to these leaf beads because it's a little bit tricky. I've got some 6mm jump rings that I'm using to get these leaves onto my necklace. I also have a lobster clasp and jump ring for closures, but we'll get to those later. And so for this jump ring, the distance that the thickness of this goes, there's too much curvature in the jump ring for it to be able to go through all the way through this straight hole. So what I do for this, and this is just something that I'm doing with the 6mm jump ring, you might be able to have better luck getting like a 7mm or 8mm jump ring because their curvature is going to be less dramatic than the 6mm one. But let me open this guy up real quick and I'll show you what I do. I'm going to want to open it pretty wide, but also I'm going to get rid of some of the curve just at the end of this jump ring, just right here at the very end. And I'm going to do that by sticking that into my pliers. Angle my hand so you can see. And I'm just going to smush that down just right there on the end of that jump ring, just to make it a little bit flatter. That way, which way do I want that to go? Okay. These are double-sided, so they will go either way. I'm sticking it in through the front so that the join part will be on the back of it. And I want these all facing different directions when they're hanging, so that's that's why I was seeing which way that was going to go. So then you put that straighter part of that jump ring through here, and you see how it's just sticking out here? It won't go through the rest of the way because we didn't straighten out the rest of this jump ring. It's just this part at the end that's straightened out. But what I can do now is I can swing this jump ring closed by meeting up with that metal part there with that other end. And now it's basically like a bail. The part where the jump ring opens and closes, it's not going to be up here at the top where it could possibly slip out of the beading cable if it's not closed right, but it's going to hold it and it's not going to wiggle out or wiggle around. And so that's how I got all of these jump rings onto these leaf beads. So I just wanted to show you that because it's a little bit different than the way you would normally do jump rings. I'm going to move these guys into their little organizers up here at the top so that we can focus in on the central part of this bead board. And no, I want to have this in the order that it's going to be in. And so I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking I'm going to start from the center and move outward for this. And for that, yeah, let's put these guys up here. So I'm going to need to cut 2 lengths of beading wire in order to do that. Now the Potomac's beading cable, this came in the bead boxes, so you've got some beading cable to be able to do this with already. I am adding some 2x2 crimp tubes because that is the size that works best with my magical crimper. And the magical crimper works great. I don't know if you can see it. 0.018, 0.018. It works great on this wire. So I'm going to be using this as well for when we actually do our closures. But for the time being, I mostly just need to get some wire cutters and cut myself 2 lengths of wire. All right, now let's see. This is about 15 inches from end to end. And I'm not going to want a super long necklace, so I'm going to give myself about 5 inches more than that, so about 20 inches for my length on each of these pieces of wire. So I just cut my first one, and I'm going to get the second one cut. There we go. So I'm going to take one of these to start with, and I'm going to drop this center leaf right in the middle, like this. And I'm going to stick one hole of the bibo bead on here. And it's a good idea to just, before you string on any 2-hole beads, just make sure you can go through both holes before you string it on. Because even though there are like quality checks and that sort of thing, every now and again you will find a 2-hole bead where the second hole is blocked or something like that. And that can be really frustrating when you go to put something in the second hole and finding that to be blocked and you can't use it. So it's just a habit that I got in the habit of when I work with a 2-hole bead, just to poke in both holes before you string it on. You could go through all of them before you get started, but I'm just poking and then poking and then stringing. So it doesn't take that much longer when you're stringing, just to make sure that both of the holes are clear. And that's one of the reasons too, when you get beads from somewhere or a kit or something, they'll usually give you more than what you actually need. It's just to make sure that you have enough for your project. So that is my first strand. My second strand, I'm going to take the center and I am going to, hold on, I did this wrong because I was in the middle of talking about things. I already know these two are good. I want my green bicones on either side of the leaf charm. 1, 2, and then we'll put the bibo and then the round duo on each side of it too. And this is just to get it started so I know where we are in the center. And then I'm going to put a bead clip, a bead bug, a thingy on one side, and it'll hold the wires while we work on the other side. So that's the plan, is that I'm going to do that. So that's how it should look. You want some of that sparkly bicone action going on there. And then the bibo bead and the round duo, like that. So now that that is on there, and I just want to make sure they're centered before I stick this guy on here. All right, so this other one, we are going to put one of these long check bicones in the center. And I need a little bead as a spacer up there on that top. Actually, no, do I? Because I think that'll actually curve the necklace. Nope, we're not going to do that. All right, so now I'm going to take that with that, and I'm going to put it through the second hole of that bibo bead and the second hole of that round duo. This is us just getting started. It's okay if these move around a little bit for right now on that side. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Put it through the second hole on that bibo, and then put it through the second hole on the round duo. And that just pulled it out of the other one. See, this is the fun stuff. This is what we're here for. You know, I may need to, just for now, before we get it centered, stick that on so it doesn't come out while I'm doing this one. There we go. I don't know why this is so fiddly today. But I just need to remember that I'm the boss of the wire, I'm the boss of the beads. It is not the boss of me. I can tell it where to go and what to do. There we go. Yep, that's going to give us a bit of a curve when we get everything tightened up. So now let's find the center again. That's just bringing the ends together. And shifting everyone down here between the two of them. All right, that's going to be good enough for me for the center. Clamp that wire right there. And now I can continue this with a bibo bead. And now for this one, I'm not going to include a leaf. I'm going to skip that and save it for the next section. Instead, on this top wire, I'm going to go ahead and continue using the long bicone. And on the bottom wire, I'm going to use 2 of the 4mm bicones. There we go. Like that. I'm going to do the same repeat with the 2-hole beads, where we go through both holes of the bibo bead. And you can string them on at the same time now, so it's going to be a little bit easier. And then both holes of the round duo beads. And then both holes of the bibo beads. So the bibo beads are my bookends. They are the little bits that are right next to my round duos. Like that. And now for this section, I'm going to do another leaf. So I'm going to use this leaf, but I want to use 2 bicones, 1 bicone, then the leaf, then the other bicone. And then on the top, this is the bottom strand, that's the top strand. On the bottom strand, I'm going to use, you guessed it, you're following along, you're paying attention, that check last bicone. So it's going to end up looking like this, just all the way along. And I'm just going to repeat this until it's the length that I want it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. So once more, that is bibo, round duo, bibo. I love it when we get 2-hole beads that play together. Makes me real happy. Then I'm going to do this one without the leaf, with the long bicone on top and 2 bicones on the bottom. And then we'll do another leaf, and the rest of it on the way all the way to the end. Nope, that goes on the other piece of wire, Bex. Pay attention to what you're doing. Right, so after I get this last leaf on this side, it'll just be this repeat. So we'll have the leaf, and then it'll just be these guys, just these guys, all the way to where we want to end. So why don't I meet you back here after I've added all my leaves and gotten as long as I want on this side, and then done the same thing on this side, and I'll show you how we're going to finish this off. We're going to attach these, and we'll do some earrings after we do that. All right, I have finished doing my pattern all the way along the sides. I went ahead and attached the jump ring over here to this end because the steps are going to be the same for this one that I'm going to demonstrate with you as I did for this. Just instead of the lobster clasp, just repeat the steps and attach it to the jump ring instead. So right here at the end, I have finished my 2-hole bead repeat, and I have another of the long bicones and 2 of the short bicones, but we're going to be putting them on in a different combination now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put both of my wires together, and I'm going to stick them both through one of my bicones going in the same direction. So the bicone sits just right there, and it brings both threads, both bits of cable of wire together like that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is put on this larger, longer bicone, again with both wires going through the hole on that one bead. And these wires, these beads, the holes are big enough to very comfortably accommodate both of these wires. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crimp right here above this bead so that I can cut one of these wires and leave the other. So I'm going to crimp them together using one of the crimp tubes. I'm going to slide that right down so that it's right next to our guy right there. And I'm going to use the magical crimper. And if you haven't seen these in use before, there's this concavity in the middle of it right there. And that's where this crimp is going to sit when I do my crimping. And it's centered. And again, it only really works on wire that is this size, the 18 to 19.018 to 0.019, and with the 2x2 crimp tubes. But you want to center the crimp tube on there and give it a good squish. And then when you let go of it, you'll see that it has left kind of the middle unsquished and just the corners have been squished. So then you rotate it and come at it from a different angle and give it another squish, and rotate it and come at it from another angle. And every time you rotate it and then squish it, it will smooth down those edges so that what you're left with is a nice smooth crimp ball. It helps if it actually rotates with you instead of just sitting there. Smooth ball of crimp that doesn't have any rough edges. It actually looks quite nice. So you can put a crimp cover over it, but I find I don't need to. All right, so now I'm going to just take the shorter end of wire. They're not that different actually, but I'm going to cut that one off because I like having a little bit of extra wire to play for my last little bit. Now for this part, you can see right here where I cut it, there's a little bit of that wire sticking out, so that's why I like to put a little bead between 2 crimps like this if I'm doing this type of closure, because that bead will keep that little bit of wire from scratching your skin. right? So we've got that crimp. So what I'm going to do is put on another crimp bead. And that's going to sit right there until after I go through it. Then I'm going to go through the end of the lobster clasp. Always make sure your lobster clasp works before you put it on there, and that one works just fine. And then I can bend it back around, put it through. And I've actually got it coming out of that bead down there. I'm going to tighten up that loop. You don't want the loop to be too small, but you don't want it too big either. I think that is kind of a perfect size loop. And I am going to get ready to smush and then rotate. This way. This one will be crimped as well. It's nice. So I gave it a little tug to make sure it was done. I don't always, because usually I can trust these crimps, but sometimes I just feel like doing that. Anyway, so there we have this necklace. That is done. And the next thing that I'm going to want to do is make some earrings. All right. So let's pull out the beads that we're going to be using for our earrings. And for this, I am going to be using more of this beading wire. And I think I changed my mind, and I think I'd like to use a couple of bibo beads for this too. So I've got some purple and blue and pink flowers and one of these guys and a jump ring. And I'm going to pull off some beading wire. We're not going to need very much beading wire, like maybe about that much. That's about 6 inches, 6 or 7. Not very long at all. And so for this, I'm going to put the beading wire right through that leaf and find the middle. Ish. The middle-ish. So I've got it going through like that. I'm going to stick one of these bibo beads on because that will help bring the strands of wire together for the rest of this. Just going to scooch it right down next to the leaf, right there. And now I'm going to use both strands of beading wire at the same time, and I'm just going to string on all 4 of these beads. They're just going to plop right on top of each other. And they're going to face in different directions, and that's going to be cool and wonderful, and that's exactly what I want. Because flowers don't always face the same directions. Yeah. Actually, let me scooch, turn this one over the other way. I'm gonna have this one go that way. And the only reason I'm changing it is because of the way that the petals are on it. I think it'll sit nicer that way. All right, so now this, maybe, I don't think I'm going to need that at all, am I? Let me, I'm having an idea for how I want to connect it. I had an idea on how I wanted to connect it, and now I'm not so sure, because I think what I want to do is just have these go through that jump ring, and then we'll use the jump ring to connect it to an ear wire. Are we both going through the jump ring? Okay. I'm just going to see if I can fit both of these back into this crimp tube, and I can. That's lovely. Okay, hold on. So I'm going to need to pull the wire through the crimp tube. I want them to be the same size for that. All right. Now I'm going to crimp. Let's move that out of the way a little bit. Gonna have to bend it so that I can get to it away from that flower petal. It's a little bit awkward of some of these angles, but that's okay, because I'm just gonna keep going till it's done. All right, all crimped. Let's cut off our excess wire. Now I just need an ear wire. Which way are we facing, guys? That way? All right. Ear wires. All right, I will make the second earring on my own, so you don't have to sit through me doing that twice. But there is my very floral earring. Yay, flowers! And a super pretty, softly romantic, and very botanical necklace. And I made all of this with the Spun Sugar Serenade Potomac Beads treasure box. There is a link in the description if you wanted to sign up for that subscription. And I believe I've got a code. No, the link will actually give you the code for that, for you to sign up with that, if you're interested in that. And if you want to see some of the other earrings that I've been making for my challenge, there is a playlist that I will also link below for my earrings everyday challenge. I made some earrings with some buttons that came in this kit earlier for part of my challenge as well. Anyway, I hope you are having a wonderful time. If you like what you see, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Bye for now. Happy beading.